topic we'll be looking into is purpose of transacting. So why we need to transact? What is the ultimate purpose behind transacting in this foreign exchange? So basically, it is up to the users of this foreign exchange market. Okay, so here are the three positions which these users of forex market takes. That is hedgers, speculators, and arbitrageurs. The first one is hedgers. So those who deal in foreign exchange, they take place of this hedging position. That is, it depends upon the exposure to risk. Okay, how much risk he is willing to accept. It depends upon that whether he has an exposure to risk or he resorts to foreign exchange only as a means of covering his position. Based on these two things, it will be decided whether that particular person has taken this hedging position. So hedging is nothing but it's entering into the opposite position in the market to that of the position which is already holding, which already is holding in the market, so that ultimately his position becomes zero. Okay, it's basically moving in the opposite direction to make that movement nullified. Okay, so we'll see this example. Suppose a person wants to hedge his position. For example, an exporter, he has receivables in dollar due 6 months. Okay, he has to receive some amount in dollars which is due 6 months. So for that, what he will do, he need to receive that payment, right, which will be due after 6 months. He'll be receiving it. Now at present he enters into forward exchange contract with his bank to sell dollars. Okay, now he's entering into a contract to sell dollars, that is, he's going to make purchase, that is forward exchange contract, which he can settle on a later date. So he can use those receivables to make these payments. Okay, he's going to receive some amount in dollars after 6 months. Now he's entering into a purchase contract. So when that amount comes to him, he can use that amount to pay off this debt. So his overall position in dollars become zero. That is how hedging or hedgers works. So in this, again, this hedging position, it is based on the risk preference. So the frequency and in what circumstances a person resorts to hedger in foreign exchange market, it depends upon his risk preference. Either he want to be a risk averse or risk appetite. Risk averse people, they make sure they avoid the risk maximum, they do a decent transaction and then they leave the market. In case of risk appetite, those people, they not only accept this risk, but also in that risk they look for opportunities to gain some profit. That is what risk appetite people are. So based on the frequency and what circumstances a hedger resorts to this foreign exchange market, it depends upon his risk preference. So based on this, the position, whether he's holding hedging position or not. Next one is speculators. The speculator concept we already knew, we would have learned in stock market. Same thing, same meaning here also. Only difference is that this is foreign exchange market. So the speculator, he deals with the expectation of making profit out of such foreign exchange transactions. So his ultimate aim is he'll be expecting to make some profit. So this speculator, he will watch over the market carefully and makes his own estimation, okay, about the future movement in the rates. So based on his estimations, he will move in the market with the hope to gain from the ultimate result. So for example, if we take the speculator, he is acting upon his own estimation, right? So in this case, he estimates that dollar will appreciate in future. Okay, so he is estimating dollar will appreciate in the future. So for that, what he does now at present, he will be buying dollars at the current rate, okay, with a view to sell them at a higher price in future. When all the speculators they get the same wisdom that this when all the speculators they estimate the same thing, dollar price will increase in future, that is, it will appreciate in the future. What they will do, they will purchase now, they will be accumulating dollars. So when there is demand for the dollars now, what happens? Obviously the price of the dollar will increase. So when there is increase in the price, the speculators they will gain from it, okay. So what these speculators they are referred to as their attitude towards taking risks, that is what is making them an ideal person to act as sellers of the financial product in the foreign exchange market, okay. All these things, it depends upon the risk factor, how these people are reacting to risk. In case of hedgers also we saw, based on the risk exposure to the foreign exchange market or whether he wants to cover their position, that is what hedgers do. In case of speculators, what these people do is that they expect to make profit, they make their own estimations how it works. So they estimate dollar price will increase in the future, and at present what these people do, they purchase dollars. So as these people start purchasing, all the speculators together in the market, what happens? The demand for the dollar increases, thereby increases in the value of the dollar. So when the dollar value increases, these people immediately will sell them at higher price. So that is how these people are gaining profit. And the attitude towards taking risk, that is what making these speculators an ideal person to act as sellers of the financial product in the foreign exchange market. So these speculators, they belong to the class of risk takers. These people, they are responsible both for volatility as well as efficiency of the market. So these people, as a result of these speculative activities, the market, it will show excessive reaction to the events, and often the rate will overshoot because of the acts that is done by the speculators. The cumulative wisdom of the speculators, it makes the rates to overshoot. So the third one is arbitrageurs. So as we saw, speculators, they are risk takers. So arbitrageurs, they are careful lot. They too need profit, but a riskless profit. That is why these people are referred to as careful lot. So here in the purest form of arbitraging is the operators, they have no investment. They simultaneously buy and sell the same currency in different markets and different time period, which ensures them riskless profit. Okay, we'll see this example. For example, if suppose the arbitrager finds out that dollar is quoted differently in two markets. Let's take Singapore and London. So what this arbitrager will do, he will purchase dollar from the market where it is quoted low, and he will sell it in the market where it is quoted high. So the difference realized minus the transaction cost, it will give him riskless profit. That is how he gains. So when large number of arbitrageurs, when they indulge in this activity, that is purchasing from the market where the dollar is quoted low and selling it in the market where it is quoted high. The market where this dollar was quoted low, here the demand for dollar increases, thereby it pushes up the price. Same case, the market where it was priced high, the supply will increase due to the action of these arbitrageurs, and consequently the price will fall. Okay, in the above case, in case of speculators, same thing they do, but not in different markets. What they do, he will make his own estimation that the dollar price will appreciate in future. Now he will purchase it, and in the future he will sell it. But arbitrageurs, what they do, they carefully watch markets. They will say if whether same currency is quoted differently in different markets. In that case, due to these differences, due to these price differences, they will earn this riskless profit. That is what arbitrageurs do. So the next head will be looking upon is settlement of transactions. So foreign exchange market, it uses the latest development in telecommunications, that is for transmitting as well as settling foreign exchange transactions. So if you take for transmitting messages, SWIFT is used. It is nothing but Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications. And for settlement of transactions, CHIPS is used. It is nothing but Clearinghouse Interbank Payment System. We'll be seeing in detail what is SWIFT and what is CHIPS in the later slides. So first one is SWIFT. So SWIFT, it's an acronym for Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. It's a cooperative society that is being owned by about 250 banks in Europe and North America, and it's also registered as a cooperative society in Brussels, Belgium. So the SWIFT, it's nothing but it's a communication network that is to carry on this financial market transactions, and it effectively links more than 25,000 financial institutions throughout the world. And each bank, that is each of these 25,000 financial institutions, they have been allotted with bank identifier codes in order to communicate the messages. So this messages, it is being transmitted from country to country, that is through this central interconnected operating centers that is being located in Brussels, Amsterdam and Culpeper in Virginia. So these member countries, they are connected to the centers through this regional processors, which is being set up in each country. Even these local banks, in order to communicate the messages, they reach these regional processors through this national network. So with the help of these regional processors, these member countries, they are connected to the centers, as well as these local banks, if they want to communicate the messages also, they connect themselves with these regional processors, and then they transmit the messages. So SWIFT system, it enables the member countries to transact among themselves very quickly, that is with respect to international payments, statements and other messages that is connected with the international banking. So all these informations, it will be sent through this SWIFT. It's very easy, it's economical as well as time saving. This transmission of messages, it takes place within seconds. So this method, it is very economical and time saving, and only selected banks in India, they have become members of SWIFT. So the regional processing center for India is situated at Mumbai. So here are a few advantages of SWIFT. So it provides reliable method of sending and receiving messages. Okay, so first one, it is providing us with reliable method of communication. It is easy for the sender as well as receiver who is spread across this vast geographical area to communicate. Next one, there is built-in authentication facilities. So there is reliability and accuracy in case of communications that is being provided, because there is built-in authentication facilities which can only be exchanged with each counterparty, and no one can listen to this communication. Next one is message relay. Message relay, it enables the counterparty to respond immediately so that there is no such time differences that happens here. Next advantage is access availability. So here access, it has been available to a vast number of banks that is globally situated. So accessing this SWIFT is easy for those banks who are carrying out this foreign exchange transactions. And structure format, next advantage, since communication in the SWIFT, it is done using the structure format for various banking transactions, the matter or the information which they want to convey, it will be clear and there will not be any ambiguity or any resort so that the receiver need to ask for clarification again. Nothing happens like that because they are following structure format. This is mainly the structure format. It is being used all over the world on a standardized basis for conducting all types of banking transactions. So there is efficiency in communicating this message. There will be clarity and there will not be any ambiguity. And next one is usage of SWIFT structure. So this format, it is not only used by international banks and national banks, even local banks, because of these technologies which is used, because of these structured formats are used for message transmission. This it even makes these local banks to adopt to this structure. Thereby it accelerates the local bank internal automation activities, since for maximum utilization of the SWIFT a significant internal automation level is required. Okay, in order to use this SWIFT there is some technology that need to be adopted by these banks. It also encourages these local banks, since a standardized structure is being used by every bank which is dealing in this foreign exchange. It again encourages these local banks to have some automation level, internal automation level that is required for transmitting messages. So these are all the advantages of SWIFT. That is, it's a reliable method of communication. It has built-in authentication, so no one can listen to our messages, and its message relay, it's nothing but it enables the counterparty to respond immediately. Accessible availability, so here access is available to a vast number of banks which is globally situated. And structure format, a structured format for transmitting messages has been used so that there is no ambiguity. And usage of this SWIFT structure, it is encouraging these local banks also to adopt some internal automation level to transmit the messages. So the next one is CHIPS. It stands for Clearinghouse Interbank Payment System. It's an electronic payment system that has been owned by 12 private commercial banks constituting New York Clearinghouse Association. So this CHIPS, it began its operation in 1971 and it has grown up to be the world's largest payment system. So here foreign exchange and euro-dollar transactions are mostly settled through CHIPS. This CHIPS, it is a mechanism. It provides the settlement of payment and receipts of numerous dollar transactions among member banks at New York. That is for everyday settlement. It is being used without the need for physical exchange of checks or funds for each such transaction. So digitally it takes place. So here we have an example, that is Bank of India. It is maintaining a dollar account with MX Bank, New York. So this Bank of India, it sells US dollar 1 million to Canara Bank. So that Canara Bank, it is maintaining dollar account with Citibank. So now how the settlement for the transaction is done, that is using this SWIFT and CHIPS, how it is done we'll be looking into. So here, as I already said, Bank of India is maintaining dollar account with MX Bank. Canara Bank, it's maintaining dollar account with Citibank. Now Bank of India needs to make payment to Canara Bank. So this is how the transaction is routed from Bank of India to Canara Bank. So Bank of India, it initiates MX Bank through SWIFT. SWIFT, we all know, it is the communication network. Through SWIFT, it is initiating MX Bank to debit its account and transfer $1 million to Citibank in order to credit the current account of Canara Bank. Now this MX Bank, it debits the account of Bank of India with $1 million and it sends the equivalent of electronic check to CHIPS for crediting the amount of Citibank. So the transfer, it is effected on the same day. So now how this transaction is routed through, it all matters. That is why it's been given. It's very simple to understand how the transaction would have gone, but what are the stages it is passing through in order to settle this transaction, that is what matters. So here communication is sent through SWIFT, and CHIPS, it helps in settling the transaction. So here what happens is CHIPS, it is again communicating to the Fed wire. Fed wire, it is a communication network which actually communicates this message to Federal Reserve Bank. Okay, Federal Reserve Bank is the ultimate bank from where we get these funds. Only when this Fed wire has passed on the information to this Federal Reserve Bank, in that case the amount is received and that amount will be paid to the bank which need to receive the payment. Okay, this is how the settlement of transaction that takes place through CHIPS. So there are other things as well. So numerous transactions, it will be reported to CHIPS by member banks, and this transfer will be effected at CHIPS. So if suppose a transaction is reported by 4:30 p.m, the fund will be made available at Fedwire by 6 p.m. So that is how the transaction takes place, and when the credit is received, it will be intimated through SWIFT again. Okay, in this case Citibank needs to credit Canara Bank, right? So that credit information, it will be passed on through the SWIFT to the Canara Bank. So here, in case of the settlement of transaction in New York Foreign Exchange Market, it takes place in two stages. Okay, first one, clearance at CHIPS and arriving at the net position of each bank. Second one is transfer of Fed funds for the net position. As I said, this Fed wire, it is again a communication network. Only when the communication passes, in that case when it passes to this Federal Reserve Bank of India, the amount actually gets routed to complete this transaction. So chaps, if you see, it is again an arrangement that is similar to CHIPS that exists in London. It's nothing but clearinghouse automated payment system, and Fedwire is nothing but it is communication network that is linking the computers of about 7,000 banks of the computers of Federal Reserve Banks. So this Fedwire fund transfer system operated by the Federal Reserve Bank, they are primarily used for domestic payments, bank-to-bank transactions, third-party transactions such as interbank overnight funds, sale and purchase, settlement, all those transactions it is being used. This Federal Reserve Bank is used for, and even corporate to corporate payment. But these payments, it has to be routed only through banks. Then only it will become effective. Even for that purpose, this Federal Reserve Bank is used. And this Fed guarantee settlements. This Fed, it also guarantees settlements on all payments that is sent to receivers, even if the sender fails to send the money. So this is how this settlement of transaction takes place. This regarding settlement of transaction, the communication is passed on through SWIFT and it reaches to CHIPS, where it is the ultimate payment system. From this, it moves on to Fedwire. FedWire, it communicates, it's a communication network which communicates to Federal Reserve Bank of India Federal Reserve Bank, from where this amount is actually being credited to the ultimate receiver. So this is how the chips works.